Welcome to the Ultimate Nutrition Formula webinar, How to Eat Anything and Get Lean. What we want to do today is really get clear on how to track your calories, how to track your macros, and essentially how to really get you to the point where you look and you feel amazing while eating the foods you love. So this burger here, we want to be able to fit foods like these into our lifestyle because it's easy to eat clean and never touch a burger ever again, but we all know that in today's society that's almost impossible to accomplish, especially in the long-term picture. So the point of this webinar today is for me to make sure that you don't have any questions by the end of this. I can actually go on for hours on nutrition. I can start talking about nutrient timing and insulin sensitivity and hormones response to food and stuff that's just going to confuse you even more. And I will approach a whole bunch of topics over the next 12 weeks. But what I want you to understand is that if you get this webinar right today, you don't have to worry about anything else. Yes, I'll teach you more over the next weeks, but that's if you want to get educated on a higher level. The point of today is to make sure I give you the basics, because for now, that's all you need to get results. If you want to learn how to eat and track your food on a daily basis and never have any problems, then this webinar is something you need to focus on. And I say track because if you don't track what you eat, I promise you that your body does. And basically, that's the reason you ended up here. Today's content is how fat loss works. I want you to understand how this works and how you can manage to eat properly and lose fat. That's really, really important. Then I'm going to go through calories and macros. I want to explain what calories and macros are. I want to explain to you why we're doing this tracking thing and why it's so important. I'll get you to calculate your own macros for whatever goal you may have. Whether your goal is fat loss, muscle gain, maintain, get toned, your macros will actually dictate all of these and what calculations you need to use. So it's really important that we know how to calculate our own macros and adjust them as we go according to our progress, results, and goals. If you're working one-on-one with me, you don't have to worry about this. I do it for you. But let's say that 12 weeks down the line, you no longer want to work with me and you just want to try it on your own. I want you to be able to do it on your own. I want you to know what you need and why you need it. A lot of my clients stay with me for much longer, but I really want to make sure that you have this knowledge. Then we're going to go into talking about why we track macros. There's a lot of people out there who have an amazing body and who don't track their macros and don't track their calories. They happen to get it right. For me personally, I never could get it right. Always overeating, undereating, too little protein, too many carbs. I do track everything I eat at the moment, but I can easily go without it as I know exactly what my body needs to maintain. Why I still track everything I eat daily is because it's become a habit and it holds me accountable. But once you get it right, you don't have to continue tracking them. And we're going to go into MyFitnessPal, talk about MyFitnessPal, how to set it up and how to use it. We are going to go through making your own meal plan. I'm going to teach you how to write your own meal plan based on the foods of your preference. Then I'm going to give you an example of eating clean foods and an example of eating bad foods. You've probably been on a fair number of diets before. I know I have. I want you to think about it and answer this. Did you lose weight? Did you gain weight? Did you maintain your weight? Or did you plateau? And did you eventually achieve your goal? And if you did you maintain it? So it doesn't matter if you achieved any of the above if you didn't track your calories. And if you did, you are one lucky girl. You just happen to have a lucky guess on what your calories were and hit them by mistake. Because without tracking calories, you're essentially guessing your way through it. If you achieved your dream body without tracking calories, you've guessed your way to it because you just happen to have the right amount of calories and the right amount of macros to hit your goal. And if you're here right now, well, you see my point. I hope this makes sense. The only way you can achieve your goal is by hitting the macros you need. So if you're not tracking them, you just happen to get the right ones. So this is how fat loss works. It's really, really simple once you get to see through it. Your body needs a certain number of calories each and every day to maintain composition. All right? I'm not talking about weight. I'm talking about composition. So let's say you weigh 80 kilos. Your body needs a certain amount of calories per day just to maintain that weight. This number is subject to constant change due to the constant modification of your body composition, and that refers to fat and muscle. Weight loss or fat loss is as simple as calories in versus calories out. So if you're eating in a deficit, which is less calories than your body needs, you will lose weight. Guaranteed. If you're not losing it, it simply means that you're not on the right deficit. You're on the wrong number. You may be on maintenance, which is the one in the middle. So if you're eating at maintenance, you're not going to change. And if you're eating at a surplus, you're going to gain. So let's say that your maintenance calories are 1700. This means that by you eating 1700 calories, you will maintain your weight. If you eat below that number, that is 1400, you're going to lose weight. And if you eat above it, you will gain weight. Make sense? So what you need to understand is that calories in versus calories out is the only way to lose weight. If you get this right, you won't have problems. Yes, you can do more cardio. Yes, you can build up your engine. There are great ways as well. But for example, doing cardio, that's just reducing your calories. So let's say you need 700 calories to maintain with your current exercise level. And you add in, let's say, half an hour of cardio a day. All that's doing is making the amount you need 1900. So you burn 200 calories with cardio. So now you need 1900 to maintain. If you're still eating 1700, that places you in a deficit. But doing this, you are constantly depending on doing cardio, which is not a long-term sustainable solution. We need to work on your engine as well, and that's discussed in the training webinar. Going further, what is a calorie? I've given you here the dictionary definition. It doesn't really matter. Let's just think about calories as energy and fuel. So this pizza right here can simply mean energy or fuel your body runs on. So calories are quite simply fuel. I want you to think of your body like an engine. Your body is like a Suzuki Swift right now, and it doesn't need that much fuel to keep going. So you don't need a lot of food to maintain. If you eat a lot of food, you'll gain weight. Same with the car. If you put in too much, that fuel will get stored because your body will not consume it. So every single food has calories in it, and calories are made up of macros. What are macros? There are 4 different types of macros. The first one is protein. Alright, so this is going to get quite technical. Protein is the first macro. 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. 2 grams of protein is 8 calories, and so on and so forth. So 30 grams of protein times 4 calories is essentially 120 calories. I hope this makes sense. Next one is carbs. Carbs are just like protein. They have 4 calories per gram. So 30 grams of carbs are essentially 120 calories. Now keep in mind, if I have, let's say, 100 grams of chicken, not all of that is protein, because there's more than just protein in that chicken breast. There's a tiny bit of fat, there's 0 carbs in the chicken breast, but there's also water and chemicals. So we'll get into this later. Each food is made up a combination of at least 2 macros. So finally, fat has 9 calories per gram. It's more than double the calories of protein and carbs. So we have to be careful with this. So 30 grams of fat is 270 calories. If you had, let's say, 30 grams of olive oil, it would essentially be 270 calories. And this is an exception because olive oil is pure fat. Is 99 point something percent just fat. Now the last one is alcohol. And this is a tricky one. You can definitely have it, but the problem with alcohol is that it's not really used for anything. We use protein to build muscle, to repair muscle. We use carbs for energy. We use fat for energy as well, but also for our hormones. Alcohol, you can fit it into your macros, but it's not going to be used for anything. So that's why I recommend to limit its intake. And I'll explain everything about alcohol in a future webinar. Okay. Now, all right. macros the same? We've talked before, if you eat 1700 calories a day, you'll maintain. Just an example. So if you eat less than that, you'll lose weight. But let's get into, are macros the same? Yes or no? Let's imagine you're on a deficit. So 1700 is your maintenance, and if you eat 1400, you're obviously in a deficit. And you eat, for example, these 1400 calories only from fat. So you eat only 155 grams of fat per day. Are you going to lose fat? What about if you ate only protein? What about only carbs? You may, in the beginning, because the body is shocked by the change, but you'll stall, because what happens is your body needs all three of these macros in order to function properly, and it needs certain amounts of each in order to function ideally. So there's a lot of diets out there. For example, there's a ketogenic diet, right, where you eat basically fats and just a little bit of carbs. Or you have very popular right now, intermittent fasting. All of them work, at least in the beginning. And if you feel like they suit your lifestyle and you can get long-term results from them, go for it. But carbs are so delicious. I love them. I don't know why anybody would want to give them up for life. Not to mention that side of things where you strive for balance in your life. I mentioned this in my guideline as well. Your brain alone needs 5 grams of glucose per hour in order to function properly. So if I told you, for example, if you're a carb lover, and I told you you weren't allowed chocolate and pizza and ice cream and bread, what would you say? You may try it, see if it works, but if you give it up, then everything is useless. If you do follow it and you get the results, but you don't enjoy it, it's still useless, because you have to enjoy it. You have to make it a lifestyle and be able to sustain it on the long term. And the whole point of tracking macros is we want to find the right ratio of fats, protein, and carbs, so that you're healthy, but you're also enjoying your foods. You can go out with your child and have a cake, or you can go out with your friends and have a margarita. So with your macros, you can't just focus on one or just cut out one. And yes, we are strict, as in if we have to hit 1400 calories, we will. But we are not restrictive. We cannot be restrictive when it comes down to our eating. That's how people fail at diets. That's how people quit. So we need to make sure that we're never quitting. Are there good foods and are there bad foods? I told you every food has macros in it. So if you go here, we have 100 grams of sugar. Now, 100 grams of sugar is essentially 100 grams of carbs. Times 4, like we saw previously, we have 400 calories in 100 grams of sugar. Then we have 500 grams of sweet potatoes, half a kilo. That's a lot of sweet potato. So here we have 101 grams. I got this off MyFitnessPal, and we'll get into that in just a second. There's a tiny bit more calories in the sweet potato because there's more than carbs in here. There's fiber and other good things. Now, which one would you say it's healthier? Which one would be better for you if you ate it on a daily basis? And which one is going to give you more vitamins and minerals and basically more health effects? Yeah, of course, right? It's the sweet potato. The sugar here is going to affect the way your body reacts to insulin, the way your body reacts to everything. It's not healthy. But from a fat loss point of view, or a muscle gain point of view, or whatever your goal may be, your body doesn't know what a sweet potato is or what sugar is. All it knows is that there's 100 grams of carbs in each. No, I'm absolutely not saying that if you need 100 grams of carbs per day, you get a spoon and start eating sugar. Of course not. What I'm trying to get is we can feed foods like these into our diet while still getting results. Let's go further. We're going to get more technical now, so you may want to grab a pen of paper because you've got some calculating to do. When we're calculating our calories, we need to know these things. So you need to know your age, you need to know your height in centimeters, you need to know your weight in kilograms, and you need to know your activity level. If you do know your body fat percentage, it's even better, but it's not compulsory. So don't stress about it. So before we can calculate what you need for your goals, we need to know how many calories you need to survive. That is the number of calories an individual needs only to run its basic metabolic functions while at rest. So you're at rest, lay down on your bed inside a room with a temperature of 20-21 degrees Celsius. You are not doing anything, you're just laying in bed. Your digestive process has ended at least 10 hours ago. So the calories you're consuming in that very state is your basal metabolic rate, your engine, actually. And we've talked about this before. Right now, you watching this webinar, just doing nothing, you're just sitting there, not talking to anybody. All you're doing, your eyes are blinking, your muscles are tense, your heart is beating. Just doing nothing, you're burning a ton of calories. And I'll show you in just a second how many calories you're burning. So you can essentially lie in bed all day, do nothing, and burn fat all the time. We'll go forward and we'll calculate this for women only. You can use this formula above for your partner if you want to set him up on the same journey as you. You want to do this calculation first, next this one, next this one, and put the four together. All right? So this is what number you'll get here is your basal metabolic rate. Okay? So I hope you're following along. I made this example here using my own data. So this is the number I burn by doing nothing. But we still don't know our activity level. And I want you to be careful with your activity level when you establish it, because it can be a tricky one, and most people usually overestimate how high their activity level really is. And they end up eating too much, thinking they're more active than they really are. So let's figure out your activity level. So your basal metabolic rate times the activity level you will choose for yourself will give you your maintenance calories. Let's look at the average activity variables. So if you're sedentary, let's say you're at a desk job and you don't move, let's say you do 1 or 2 exercise sessions a week, then your activity level is 1.2, and we'll multiply this times your basal metabolic rate and we'll end up with your maintenance calories. If you're lightly active, say you go for a walk daily and you exercise 1 to 3 days a week. So let's say you're doing the Little Black Dress program. Most of you are lightly active. Moderately active. You have a standing job. You're working, let's say, at a standing desk, or you're delivering stuff. You don't do anything too heavy, and you're doing the Little Black Dress program. Then you'd fit between 1.5 and 1.6. You are very active if you have a physically demanding job. You work at a standing desk, or so you have a physically demanding job, and you're also training 6 to 7 times a week. All right, and if you are really extremely active, then it means that you're running marathons, you're training every single day, and you have a very, very active and demanding job. So you need to analyze these levels very good and choose the best that fits your lifestyle. Don't cheat, don't overestimate it, just think it through and come up with the realistic level for your current lifestyle. Now you're going to take that number and you're going to multiply it to your basal metabolic rate, which you calculated back here. That number you get is how many calories you need to maintain, to stay the same. So the BMR is to survive, the activity levels is for maintenance. So my number here, I chose 1.5 for me, and I came up with close to 2,000 calories per day just to maintain. And I know this number is right because I've been using it for a while. Actually, I'm above that. I'm around 2100, sometimes 2200, but that comes down to the power of my engine and the lean mass I've been able to build over the years. So if I eat less than this, I'm going to start dropping weight. Alright, so what is your goal? My goal, for example, is currently to maintain. So I know that I need to stick to my maintenance calories and I'll be fine. If I wanted to drop weight, I could choose a random calorie number, like say 400, and subtract it from my maintenance. But I usually prefer to work in percentages. A healthy weight loss percentage is between 10 and 20% less than your maintenance. So if I wanted to go 20% less, this is what I would get. If I want to go aggressive, I wouldn't go more than 30%. So 30% would be quite aggressive, because if I bring my calories way too low, what do you think is going to happen to my body, to my muscle? So if I need 2000 to just maintain and I drop to 1000, what do you think will happen? Of course, my body is going to shut down. So the trick with your weight loss, we want to get as close as possible to our maintenance calories while being in a deficit to lose fat. And this does not happen overnight. It takes time, but it does happen. What I want you to understand is when we lose weight, we lose both fat and muscle. It's impossible to shred only fat and zero muscle. What we want to do is lose as much fat as possible and maintain as much muscle as possible. Same with gaining weight. It's impossible to gain weight and not gain fat. You're always going to be gaining fat as well. So if you're a program and you want to add lean mass, we'd only be adding 5 to 10%. And don't be afraid of women gaining mass. You read everything about this and the myths around it in the training manual. This is basically the only thing that will ever allow you to eat more, because all of those calories you're burning, your muscles are actually doing that. So once we know our maintenance number, then we choose a goal. So the next step, we talked about this earlier, we can't just have 1400 calories from fat and carbs. We need to have the right ratio. And this is where things get really, really important. So write down your goals. For example, I took my own case and subtracted 20%. So this is maintenance, all right, here, minus 20%. And we are left with this number of calories. So do your own calculations, subtract, and find your goal for weight loss or whatever it may be. We are only taking right now a weight loss example. First thing we want to know is protein. We want to go between 2 grams and 2.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. If you go too high, your body is just going to flush it out, basically piss it out. All right, so now if you're on an aggressive cut, we'll go higher, because you risk losing your lean mass. Same thing, the lower body fat you are, the higher we go with protein. but you will be safe around the 2 grams mark for now. So let's say, for example, you weigh 70 kilos. We want to have you around 140 grams of protein. If that's too hard for you in the beginning, go for 1.8, but strive to reach 2. The number can be lower or higher, but the trick is that you have to be consistent about it. Next thing is fats. You want a minimum of 0.77 grams of fats per kilogram of body weight. You need fats. Fats are so important for women, especially for our hormonal balance. So cut your calories too aggressive and your fats as well, and you're basically assured yourself with a future hormonal dysfunctionality, even losing your period. So don't do that mistake. Just focus on healthy fats like avocado and oily fish and olive oil and stuff like that. Then your carbs are the remaining calories until your target. Actually, what's left over? We're going to go through this in just a second, so don't worry about this page too much. So your remaining calories, we divide them by 4 and we get your grams of carbs. Just a little bit of math here, but it's quite simple if you wrap your head around it. So we want to follow this formula and not percentages, because percentages assume that everyone is the same. This formula assumes that you're going with your body size and weight and activity level, like we discussed earlier. So we're going to go over here. All right, so this is my goal. I'm going to have 2.3 grams of protein per kilogram. So I weigh 58 kilograms times 2.3. 2.3, I'm going higher because my body fat percentage is very low. I have little fat, and thus I run the risk of losing lean mass instead. See my point? So we end up with 133 grams of protein times 4 calories per gram. We have 532 calories of protein. We subtract this from my current number, my goal, and we remain with 1061 calories. Fats. We need a minimum amount of fats, and this is where it comes down to your personal preference. Some people like fats more than carbs, and some the opposite. I, for example, like both, but I'm more of a carb lover. I like cake, I like bread, pizza, pretzels, so I'll go for 0.86, just to get a round number, alright? So this is the number of calories we get from fats. We subtract this from what was remained here, and we end up with 611 calories that we have to split into carbs. So this divided by 4 gives us 153 grams of carbs. I know this is a lot to take in. It's a lot, and you'll have to basically review this over and over until you absorb everything. So my macros to lose fat and lose as little lean mass or muscle as possible are these. What I'm going to do right now is go to MyFitnessPal. You you have to set up an account with MyFitnessPal. I have a premium version. I would recommend you to get the premium version because it has a lot of features you can take advantage of. And I think it's about $10 or $15 per month, but if you can't, that's no problem. You can go without it just fine. All right. So we're going to go and set calories goals, all right? If you have the free version, it will not allow you to set them with grams. So it will only give you percentages, which will not bring you as close as possible as regards your grams. So if you take out your MyFitnessPal right now and you try setting your fitness goals, you will see that it will not allow you to set it by grams. Alright, so these are currently my goals at the moment. Let's just get back here and see. So we have 1593. We'll just change it up, alright? Oh, okay, no, we need to go here. So we have carbs, 153. Alright. We have fats, 50. And we have protein, 133. Alright, so it's basically close enough. Alright, so you save changes. Alright, so it has saved our changes. Now, after you do this, I'm actually showing you right now the desktop version of MyFitnessPal because I'm on a desktop, but you will use your phone, which is much easier. And let's go into foods. I've actually created, let me go here, a clean meal plan. And where is it? Alright, so I've created 2 meal plans, one with clean foods and one with bad foods, and I'll get to them right now. So this is the clean meal plan. You just go, add food, you search for your food and just add it. But we'll get to that in just a second. Let's go through the clean meal plan. So we know our numbers, we know we had to hit these numbers. So we have for breakfast an omelette with 1 whole egg, 2 egg whites, some fresh goat cheese, some tomato, and we're adding some avocado. Very clean, right? For lunch, we're going for some chicken breast, for some sweet potato, with some butter to make it tasty, and some broccoli. Alright, so you have here the calories, the carbs, the fats, the protein that specific food contains. Alright, for dinner I had, let's say, salmon, wild rice, and some cauliflower. These are my snacks. I had, let's say, I have some chobani with some strawberries, some honey, and don't forget to add in your fish oil because it's still fat. So I'm using fish oil from My Protein. You can use whatever you can find in your local pharmacy. All right. So this brings us, this is what we set, okay? And this is what targets we fit. So it's pretty close, right? So we're over a bit at with the protein, that's no problem. So we are 1592. Now we can create, and I created a meal plan with bad foods. So I chose a donut. The thing with bad foods and with junk food is that you basically find it very hard to hit your protein number. because fast food only has carbs and fats. All right, so because of this, I had 2 protein shakes. I chose randomly Optimum Nutrition. All right, for meal plan number 2, for lunch, I chose some pies, 7-Eleven pies, and a Coke. I chose a Coke Zero because I wasn't left with too many carbs, and Coke Zero is basically plain sugar. And for meal 3, I went with some pasta, some hot ketchup, and some turkey. Now, I have 1590. If you're paying attention, 1590 as compared, so I'm 4 calories below my target. In the clean meal plan, I'm only 2 calories below. So I'm basically eating less on the junk food. It's irrelevant. I'm trying to make a point here. On which one of these would you say I lose more fat? On the bad foods or on the clean foods? On the bad foods. Of course, because I'm eating less. Not much less, it's just for the sake of the example. But what I'm trying to tell you is that your body sees the number of calories it gets. Alright, so do I recommend eating junk food every day? Of course not. But I'm trying to make a point that if you figure out how to manipulate all of these aspects, you can still fit in foods like these in a range of 10 to 20% inside your meals and get away with it. Still lose weight. Alright, so MyFitnessPal has a few features. So you saw how you can input your goals. Alright, where did we have the goals? Okay, so you go here. If you have the premium version, you can just go by grams and there's no problem with it. If you don't have the premium version, you'll just have to remember your targets. They're just 3 numbers. You just have to remember them and track them as you go. I'll show you how. Start tracking foods. Search the foods. So searching foods. Let's do an example. All right. So, okay. So let's say we want to eat some salmon. All right. If you just go salmon, you're gonna have a whole lot of results. So what you want to do is log in raw foods. This is the best solution and the most accurate. You can use cooked if you already have them cooked, but they are not so relevant as the raw. I personally, right now, I use the cooked versions because it's much simpler to weigh. But for example, alright, so you have here, you choose your food, you choose how you want to weigh it. I usually go for 100 grams, and let's say we want 100 grams, alright? So if you want to look its nutrition info, you don't have to worry about all of these here, sodium, potassium. You only need to worry about fats, about carbs, and protein. So as you can see, salmon is a fatty fish, so it has fats, it has a ton of protein, and it has 0 carbs. All right? Just so you know and you learn its nutritional facts. And you just add this food to your diary. All right? So you've added salmon. And right here you see the total of everything you've added. The trick with this is to plan. Plan everything you want to eat. It takes 5 minutes of your day in the evening. You just need to plan, because if you give yourself the opportunity to fail or to eat whatever doesn't fit your macros, you will. So think about the day before what you want to eat. So say you want to have, all right, you don't want to have salmon for breakfast, but you can move it to, let's do this. So you want to have some salmon. No, let's look for the raw version. All right, so we'll go for salmon. Add food to diary. We'll just delete this one. Then we'll add in some, all right, quinoa. Dry. You have the option of boiled, of course. Okay, so you'll probably have 0.3 or 4. I don't know how much you want to eat. Okay, so this is how you build your own meal plan. And you go with some chicken breast. All right, we can go for turkey. Okay, 150 grams of turkey. All right, so what else? Okay. Some sweet potato, raw. We go by 100 grams and eat. Okay. So if you plan ahead and you know your main meals and you know you're close to hitting your targets, so you now have, all right, let's go for, an omelette, egg, all right, whole. Okay, just go for an omelette and some cucumbers. All right. So we're essentially building your own meal plan right now, and we're just keeping track down here with our macros. Let's throw some veggies in here. Salmon, quinoa. Right, let's have some carrots. Okay. Don't like this. All right. Let's go for 200. There's little calories in here. Right, so we're constantly keeping track of our meal. All right, so let's go for a snack. What did we say we wanted to drink? All right, here it is. Let's have some chobani with some raspberries. Sorry. Okay, 200 should do it. Okay, we forgot the Chobani. Right, so we are now very close to our targets. You're very close to your protein targets, you're not close to your fats, you are almost close to your carbs. So what you essentially want to do right now is basically try to fit in a treat. No? So let's see how this would fit in. Alright, let's see one biscuit. Nutrition info. So yes, we want fats, we want carbs, protein. Alright, let's go for 2 biscuits. I hope you're following me. Great. So you are very close to your targets. If you just add in maybe some butter here, you will just be perfect. Alright, let's choose this one. Alright, so you're very close with everything. Alright, we'll just leave it like this. And you had a treat, you had your veggies, alright, you had your protein, you had everything. Alright, and don't forget to add in your fish oil if you're having it daily. So this is how you build a meal plan, by your preferences, and still eat a treat. And then you're only left with enjoying it. Alright, so there is the example of the clean foods and the bad foods. Okay? So ladies, when I learned how to do this, I realized I could eat whatever I wanted. Which I did. And I still got my abs to pop out. Quite frankly, I'm eating so much crap lately, I can't believe my abs are still the same. So that's what you get with consistency and dedication to the plan. Whoever says this is hard should think about what's hard. This or being constantly overweight and unhappy. Yes, it may be hard in the beginning to wrap your head around it, but you have the proper information. So probably you always thought that it's so hard to track calories. Yes, you need adjustments along the way. For example, you will not need the same calories when you weigh 60 kilos like when you weigh 80, but now you know how and you have the foundations. Alright? Okay, so we were regarding meal prep. You just have to prep ahead and be ready. Don't leave rooms for mistakes. Just if you think you're going to go shopping, alright? So you think you want to eat some beef or chicken breast, chicken thigh, salmon, fish, whatever you like. Just cook 3 to 5 days worth of protein, carbs and fats in advance. Weigh them, separate them into containers. You won't have any problems. And once you do this, you leave room for treats, alright? The easiest way to go about it is to split your macros. Not the easiest, but the more efficient is to split your macros. So if these were your total macros, you'd split them per meal. Alright? But if you can't do this, don't stress. Just hit your overall targets and you'll be fine. Just plan ahead. This is the trick. Why track macros? Well, if you track macros, you are guaranteed results. I keep saying this. If you don't track them, your body sure does, and that's why you're in this situation, and that's why you're here. The only way you won't get results is if you're not on the right deficit or the right macros for your body and your dieting history. You can see at any time where you are. You can look back into MyFitnessPal and see this is why you're not getting results. For example, you've been eating 500 calories in a deficit 3 days in a row, and then on Sunday you go and smash 3,000 calories and you're back at square one. This is the illusion people create for themselves, thinking that they eat right, that they eat below their targets, but they forget that one day they screw up and cancel all of their previous efforts. You have to be consistent. You can eat anything if you track. Do I recommend eating burgers all day? Of course not. You want to strive for health and longevity. That's why you'll go for a maximum of 20% treats and no more. But if you're being restrictive to yourself, you will not be able to go on like this for long, guaranteed. But going clean 80% of the time means, first of all, setting an example for your family. And then going crazy with the rest of the 20% shows that you enjoy life besides them. It only takes 5 minutes per day to plan ahead and track your food. There's enough time if you want to do it. And of course, you can eat chocolate. I think that sums about everything. Meal timing. Is it important? No, not before you've managed to create a habit from hitting your macros. There is a time for that as well, but for now, focus on hitting your macros, then worry about other stuff, which we'll get into later on. After today, you should all know how to track your food and how to fit your calories. Alright, refeed days and what are they used for? Once you are in a deficit for a longer period of time, you will insert refeed days, and we'll get into this soon. When dieting, the body's metabolism slows down. Actually, the more you eat, the higher your metabolism will go. So when you're actually reducing your calories, your fat loss hormones go down. So what we want to do with you is manipulate the situation to your advantage. That's why we'll insert a refeed day. We'll actually exchange proteins and fats for carbs. We'll decrease the protein percentage and the fat percentage with a given percentage of each and up the carbs. Carb coma, right? This will reset your fat loss hormones. So in summary, tracking macros is the most scientific way to achieve your dream body. It is not necessary, but it is recommended if you want to get the best results. Once you've done this for 3 months, you can look at food and guess. This is how I stay like this all year. I track everything I eat, and when I'm away, I eyeball everything. And apparently I do it very well, as I don't fluctuate at all. You can eat anything you like as long as it fits your targets, but strive for health and longevity. Vary your foods as much as possible, but also insert treats that will keep you happy on the long term. What gets tracked gets measured and gets done. So, we've left to do now is let's get tracking. I hope you enjoyed this webinar.